Group intelligence test. An intelligence test is a process of checking a person's intellectual potential through various tasks such as different type of reasoning and dealing with novel situations. This is done to understand the person's IQ level. In the previous video, we have learned individual intelligence test. Today, we will learn about group intelligence test. Before going to the details, please remember to subscribe the channel if you are new here. Do watch other videos in this channel, share it with students and those who love learning psychology. Thank you. Group intelligence test. The test administered by a large group at one time is known as group testing. A group intelligence test is a standardized assessment designed to measure the cognitive abilities and intelligence of a group of individuals. These tests are usually administered to groups in various settings, including schools, businesses, and government agencies. Group intelligence tests often consist of multiple choice questions that measure a range of cognitive abilities such as verbal comprehension, numerical reasoning, spatial visualization, and abstract reasoning. The results of these tests can provide valuable information about the group's overall cognitive abilities and can be used to make decisions about education, hiring, or other areas where intelligence is important. It's important to note that group intelligence tests have some limitations. They may not accurately measure the full range of an individual's intelligence, as people may have unique strength and weakness in different areas. Additionally, the group setting may create distractions or biases that can affect individual test scores. Let's see few examples of group intelligence test. Multidimensional aptitude battery, cognitive abilities test, culture fair intelligence test, and Raven's progressive matrices. We'll see each of these in detail. The multidimensional aptitude battery, or MAB. It is a psychological test designed to measure an individual's cognitive abilities across multiple domains. It was developed in 1960s by Douglas Jackson and colleagues. The multi-dimensional aptitude battery is a paper-pencil equivalent of the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. It is appropriate for people of 16 to 74 years of age. The psychometric properties are comparable with that of the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. The MAB, the multidimensional aptitude battery, is a comprehensive battery of tests that assess various cognitive abilities, including verbal reasoning, numerical ability, spatial visualization, and memory. The test consists of subtests, each measuring a specific aptitude or skill. The subtests are general information, verbal comprehension, perceptual speed, numerical ability, word fluency, spatial visualization, associative memory, reasoning, inductive reasoning, etc. Let's see an example. Imagine you are trying to decide which career path to pursue, and you are considering two options: becoming a graphic designer or an accountant. You take the MAB to assess your cognitive abilities and aptitudes in order to determine which career might be a better fit for you. During the MAB, you perform well on tasks related to spatial relations and perceptual speed, but you struggle with numerical aptitude. Based on these results, you might conclude that a career as a graphic designer, which requires strong spatial relations and visual spatial skills, would be a better fit for you than a career as an accountant, which requires strong numerical and mathematical abilities. The Cognitive Abilities Test. It is a standardized assessment designed to measure students' cognitive abilities and identify their strengths and weaknesses in areas such as reasoning, problem solving, and spatial visualization. The test is commonly used in educational setting to help identify students who may benefit from advanced or accelerated academic programs. This test assesses cognitive abilities in three areas: verbal, quantitative, and non-verbal. The verbal section measures abilities such as vocabulary, verbal reasoning, and reading comprehension. The quantitative section measures mathematical reasoning and problem-solving abilities. The non-verbal section measures spatial reasoning and other abilities that are not dependent on language. There are 2 levels for students in kindergarten through grade 3 and 8 levels covering grades 4 through 12. For each level, there are different set of items. The reliability of the test is exceptionally good and the validity is reasonably good. The test is administered in a group setting and takes approximately 2 to 3 hours to complete. The result helps the educators identify gifted and talented students, determine appropriate placement in academic programs, and provide valuable information about student learning styles. Now let's consider an example. Imagine that a parent is trying to determine best educational path for their child. The parents are considering whether to enroll the child in a gifted program or a traditional program. The parent then decides to administer the cognitive ability test to get a better understanding of the child's cognitive abilities. During the test, the child performs exceptionally well on quantitative and non-verbal reasoning section, but struggles a bit with the verbal section. Based on these results, the parent can conclude that a gifted program which focuses on critical thinking and problem solving might be better fit for the child than a traditional program. Next is the Culture for Intelligence test. It is a psychological test designed to measure cognitive abilities that are independent of cultural or educational background. The test was developed in 1950s by the psychologist Raymond Cattell and is based on the concept of fluid intelligence, which refers to the ability to reason and solve problems independently of previous experience of education. This test consists of 2 subsets: the form boards and the analogies. The form board subtest measures spatial reasoning abilities, while the analogy subset measures verbal reasoning abilities. Both the subtests are designed to be culturally neutral and do not rely on language or specific knowledge. This test consists of 3 scales. Scale 1 is used with mentally retarded adult and children from 4 to 8 years of age. Scale 2 is meant for use with adult with average intelligence and children aged 8 to 13. High school and college students as well as adult with superior ability are administered the scale 3. Each scale comprises 4 subsets: series, classification, matrices, and condition. 2 equivalent forms, Form A and Form B, are available for each scale. This test is intended for use in educational and clinical setting to identify individuals with high level of fluid intelligence. The test is often used to identify gifted and talented students or to assess individuals with learning disabilities or intellectual disabilities. Now let's see an example. Imagine a psychologist working with a patient who has neurological condition that affects the patient's verbal and language abilities. The psychologist needs to assess the client's cognitive abilities to determine the best course of treatment and plan for his care. The psychologist decided to administer this culture for intelligence test to the patient because it is a non-verbal test that measures cognitive abilities independent of language and cultural background. During this test, the patient performs exceptionally well on the spatial relations and abstract reasoning sections, indicating strong problem-solving abilities. Based on these results, the psychologist may conclude that the patient's cognitive abilities are intact despite his neurological condition affecting his language abilities. This information could help inform treatment plans and support the patient's care. Next is Raven's progressive matrices. It is a non-verbal, culture-free, intelligence test that measures abstract reasoning and problem-solving abilities. It was first introduced in 1938 by British psychologist John C. Raven. The RPM or the Raven's progressive matrices test consists of a series of diagrams or patterns with one piece missing. The test taker is then required to choose the missing piece from a set of possible options. Raven is in actuality constructed three different instruments. First one, colored progressive matrices for 5 to 11-year-old children. Then standard progressive matrices for individuals between the age of 6 to 80 years. And advanced progressive matrices for adult and adolescent with superior intelligence. The three forms of the test appear to resemble each other. The strategies required for solving the problem in each form are but different. As the test is a non-verbal one, use of language is restricted only to giving instruction to the test taker. Once the test taker understands his task, he does not require language anymore for solving problem. Therefore, this test is best suited for testing persons who do not know language. Thus, culture's influence is kept at minimum. Consider an example. Imagine you are a school psychologist working with a student who has recently immigrated to a new country and does not yet know the language of instruction. You need to assess the student's cognitive abilities to determine their academic strength and weakness and develop a plan to support their educational needs. You decide to administer this test, the Raven's progressive matrices, because it is a non-verbal test and does not rely on language abilities. During this test, the student performs exceptionally well on the abstract reasoning and problem solving. This indicates that strong cognitive abilities in these areas. Based on these results, as a psychologist, you might conclude that the student has the potential for academic success, despite not yet knowing the language of the instruction. This information could help inform a plan for language acquisition support and academic accommodations to help the students succeed in their new educational setting. Let's see what we have learned in this video. We have learned various group intelligence tests. For example, the multidimensional aptitude battery, the cognitive abilities test, the culture for intelligence test, and Raven's progressive matrices. We'll know about IQ score and variations of intelligence in the upcoming video. Hope you liked this video. Please share and subscribe. Thank you and keep smiling.